This is Shiggy Baby, Azar from NBC Young Rock, and you are listening to Perched on the Top Rope. Yes, Baba, no jabronis.
The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
Welcome, everyone, to Perched on the Top Rope. I am your host, Lee Walker, and as you heard from that show opener today, we have from the Young Rock, Brett Azar.
Yes, Baba. Number one. Yes, Baba.
Brett, how are you doing today?
Oh, I am I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So as we have talked to you before, actually our highest rated interview on YouTube, guys, and if you want to check out that interview, you can check out that link above.
Number one. Yes, Baba. Brett Azar, number one. Iron Sheik, number one.
And speaking of being number one, Brett, Young Rock debuted at number one.
Number one, NBC, Tuesday night, 8 p.m., number one comedy. Yes, Baba.
So what was it like to have that show do that, and being as popular as it is right now?
It was truly special. We knew that, the enjoyment that we had while filming it was an experience on its own, that it just made sense that it was going to be a damn good show because we just had a damn good time doing it. It was the energy that show had while filming. It only makes sense that it would bring positive energy to the nation, and they would all enjoy the same way we did.
Yeah, and everything that The Rock does, he goes above and beyond. And this is one of those shows that you see that because in professional wrestling, we've seen, shows like that 70s show do like a wrestling cameo that The Rock was on. We've seen, other documentaries from like Beyond the Mat, the movie The Wrestler. But this is really the first television series revolving around one of the most iconic professional wrestlers that have ever, been around in The Rock. But the show, as we've seen, also showcases all of these legends, and you get to portray one as the Iron Sheik, Andre the Giant, the Wild Samoans, the Junkyard Dog, his father, Rocky Johnson. What was it like going through casting, and what was it like when you met everybody on the cast?
Well, first of all, I just want to say about the show, because it has the old school wrestlers and The Rock and that new school modern day, it's really a generational show. So it's bringing grandparents and grandchildren together to watch the same show and enjoy it on the same level. More nostalgic for the older folk, for families who just want to enjoy something together right now because COVID's been such a pain in the butt. It's bringing the family together. It's a show about bringing family together. It's a perfect show for the time right now. But on to casting. Casting was interesting because it was during the pandemic. Like, all of America was shut down. The acting world in the US was completely off. So I didn't think I was going to work at all until this year, probably. And I was with my girlfriend at my house one day, or my fiance now, Linda. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to shave my head. I've never shaved my head before. So we went and we shaved my head, and I looked at her and she looked at me, and we're like, yeah, we're not going to keep this look. Time to grow the hair back. 3 days later, I got a call to audition to be the Sheik. And I was like, oh, I got this shaved head. Like, maybe it was a sign. And 3 days after that, they called me again. Okay, we want you to you got a call back. Let's do this again. Here's some lines. Say these lines. And then I got the role. And I was like, honey, we're gonna have to keep this look for quite a while.
And it's funny that you brought up the multi-generational part. My parents are not fans of professional wrestling. They know I'm a fan of professional wrestling. My parents watch the show, and I watch the show with them. Again, my dad knows of the names from Iron Sheik, Junkyard Dog, because his father watched wrestling. So for my father, it was a way to connect with his stepfather, who's no longer with us. And for me, it was interesting because it was a way for me to connect with my father, who, again, not a big fan of professional wrestling, but he knew the names. And
Right.
now he's watching the show. And before the WWE network went to Peacock,
Mhm.
he started watching some older matches of guys that he remembered his father watching. So you bringing that up just brought that memory in my head, in the fact that we watched the show together, which was just a very perfect statement on your end.
And that's something special and unique to this show that I think is going to carry this show for many seasons.
Yes, and I'm real interested in, when it comes to those later seasons, how everything will unfold.
Me
And
too. Me too.
and as far as the show, as you playing the Iron Sheik, what was it like practicing the voice, doing the due diligence, figuring out how the Iron Sheik is, how he acts, and
It
all
was
the.
so I did a full summer. Like I got booked for the role in July, and I had until September till we started filming.
Mhm.
So every day I was on YouTube with all the promos that he did for WWF. I was on all his documentaries. This Cobra Krishna, you're American girls, you're American boys. You respect me. You see, you like your American hero, but he's a punk, a brawny punk. Like I did all the promos and I repeated them every day, and it was my practice time. I just made it so because I had to work out every day and stay in shape for
Mhm.
the role. So I would sit on my exercise bike and just for an hour straight repeat YouTube and documentaries over and over again. And you'd hear me yelling it from across the street, doing Sheiky's promos, and everyone's like, "What is going on with Brett right now? He's so angry all the time." But then when we were auditioning, when I was working with the writers and producers, they were like, "All right, we're not really looking for the promo Sheik. We want the behind the scenes real Sheik." So it's Sheik in real life when he's not working the gimmick. He is the sweetest introverted dude, very very quiet, very not outspoken like his character. So yes, Baba, yes, he's just a loving kind of guy, and I didn't get that fully until I got to speak to Sheik and speak to his family. And you jabroni cat, get out of the way, you furball, you ragamuffin, you.
I I knew it was going to happen at some point.
But yeah, it was speaking to the Sheik, and it really brought a full sense of who he is.
Yeah, and we see a real sense of who Sheik is in his documentary. Did you watch that?
Oh yeah, both of them. There's two good ones. There's the Sheik on YouTube, and there was another one of it's called like old school wrestling or something like that. But there were two that really focused in more on his personal life that were great
Yeah,
for my character research.
yeah, and
One was done by the Magan brothers,
yep.
and they actually reached out to me and they were like, "We're on board. Whatever you want to do, let's do it. Let's dual promote you, the show, and Sheik, and get you guys together." And so they were really supportive of it. And then they saw how good I was doing. Or they saw how I looked. They saw how I could actually represent the Sheik in a positive light. And so that's all they wanted. They wanted the Sheik to be represented the way he deserves. Respect the legend, Baba. Respect the legend.
They did a great job on that documentary, and I believe at one point it was on Netflix. I remember
Yep.
watching it there. The Sheik, I don't think a lot of people, if you haven't watched those documentaries, really understand just how much of a humble guy he really is. Because a lot of the people, see some of the outlandish antics, or the rants and the raves that he goes on. Particularly one particular video with Eric Sims and ESS, when he tried to bring him over to the Ultimate Warrior, and that's one of those instances where we see Sheik uh, show a little angry side, but we'll talk about that a little later. Back to the show. We're on episode 5 coming up on Tuesday. When it comes to the Sheik being portrayed on the show,
Mhm.
like you said, it shows a different limelight than what people have seen, from YouTube videos and stuff, and even in the documentaries. Uh, Here we see Sheik as a very, very humble, family-esque kind of guy, and the Sheik, we see in wrestling as this big heel, and we heard the stories of fans uh, not being so nice, and throwing things into the ring and everything. And
Right.
you've talked how it brings a new light to how the Sheik is, and even the other wrestlers, like with Andre and everything. And in that first episode, when Young Rock says that um it's just fake, and Andre picks him up, and
Right.
you
Right.
know just it's really cool to see these guys in that sort of limelight. And how do you think that fans, aside from the show being number one, the younger generation compared to the older generation of wrestling fans have perceived it? Because they a lot of younger fans haven't really had exposure to these older wrestlers aside from the WWE network.
Right.
So
Which I think is the younger crowd is relating more to the family aspect of the show, of the
yeah,
of the, not so much the wrestlers storylines in the show, but the high school DJ and the college DJ. There's more than just the wrestling in this entire show, and that's why it's so great, because you have the flirty high school love relationship between Bradley and Lexi, um, and then you have college Dwayne with Uli trying to like make the team in Miami and trying to go pro for the NFL. So there's more than just the wrestling storylines, which anyone can watch and enjoy. You don't
yeah,
have to have a connection personally to the old school wrestlers.
yeah. And it's been, and if you're a fan of The Rock, you're literally watching The Rock grow up
Yeah,
on
you're
TV.
watching an autobiography.
Yeah, which is really cool. And for a lot of shows, it's pretty innovative when it comes to that. And um, you know, we're also seeing, as the show goes on, I for future seasons, I'm presuming we're gonna see those older wrestlers kind of grow up along the way. Um, Fans, you can check out Young Rock on NBC Tuesdays 8 p.m. Uh, the interesting thing here is you have a lot of other television and movie work that really struck me, because a lot of these shows I've watched, a lot of these movies I've watched, and I had no idea up until I started doing everything, doing my due diligence. And one of the first things I picked up was Marvel's Jessica Jones,
Mhm.
2015.
Yep.
You were part of that show. You played Len Sturks, I believe his
Sure.
last name was.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
I'm one of those guys who will like show up in an episode or two episodes of a show you're randomly watching and just be like, was that Brett just then in that scene? Was that? And it'll happen in like every freaking show you're watching.
yeah, and what throws it off even more is, we've met in person. What has thrown me off is the no hair, like you had talked about in the
Yeah.
beginning with your fiance, because you look a lot different with hair. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so
My
my
my fiance would say I'm a lot more handsome with hair. But she heard that one. I love you too, honey.
Besides starting off with Jessica Jones from 2015, you do have other extra work. Fans, you can check that out on Brett Azar's IMDb page. What was it that got you into acting? Because I know you have some modeling background experience, and with your size, I know you're involved with the fitness industry too.
Yep. It goes all the way back to high school, really, and even before that. Like when I was in daycare at like 8 years old, I was doing like the plays after school with daycare, like special elementary school performances and whatever. I always loved being on the stage. I was an attention whore. So I love that kind of spotlight. But when I got to high school, I was an athlete and I was captain of the football team, captain of the baseball team. I didn't have any time to be in the theater program, but I was in the competitive choral ensemble singing, and all my friends in the choral ensemble were the theater geeks, and I was actually closer to them than was with the athletes. Um, and so when I got to college, and I didn't pursue athletics in college, I stuck with the gym rat theme. I kept working out because I got addicted to that in high school. But I was able to, you know, dip my feet into the acting world, and I joined theater, and I was going to major in acting in college, and my family was like, "You need a real job. You'll never make it as an actor." Um, Look at me now. But I got to start in theater there and fell in love with it. But then got a little sidetracked and started bodybuilding because the the guy who ran the gym there, Jay Souza at the University of Rhode Island, he was like, "You got some good size. You ever think about bodybuilding?" And I was like, "Arnold is my hero. I would love to do the bodybuilding actor combo." So I started bodybuilding competitively, and I was doing really well. And I did that for about 10 years, from 18 to 24 years old. And I made it to the national level. And then right around then, when it was that decision to like, okay, I had a full-time job. I had my own personal training company, and I was living with an ex-girlfriend at the time. And the bodybuilding was getting very serious. I was like, do I want to make this the career, or do I want to continue the life I have right now? And by some miracle, my ex at the time, had an interview with a modeling and acting agency in New York City.
Mhm.
We were living in Rhode Island. And so I went with her to this interview. I sat on the couch, and the agent looks at me and goes, "Who are you?" His name was Mike Lyons. "Who are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just the boyfriend." He goes, "Sign this." And he signed me to the agency that day. I was like, "Look, I'm not a model. I don't care to do that. I love acting. If there's acting in this, I'm cool with that. But I'm not like a pretty boy model." And he
Yeah.
goes, we got a small acting division." I was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." He called me the next day. He goes, "I just booked you on a commercial for ESPN." I was like, "Oh, okay." So we stayed an extra day in New York. We filmed it. And then my ex and I drove back. He called me again. He's like, I got another audition for you." I was like, I got a full time gig going. I got all my clients. I can't go back and forth." He goes, "What do you want to do with your life?" I was like, "Acting is my passion." He goes, "I'm giving you a shot." So I was like, "Okay." 2 weeks later, I closed my business. I set my clients up with other trainers that I knew in the area. I moved to New Jersey to pursue the dream. My
Mhm.
girlfriend dumped me because I moved away from her.
Oh, wow.
And that was 10 years ago. And look at me now.
Yeah. Living proof that kids, follow your dreams. You can
Yeah,
make it.
take a chance. If you
You know.
don't do it, if you're living with the regret of not pursuing what you love, you'll never feel complete. Even if you fail, you got to give it a shot, because it's that what if can haunt you.
And it will haunt you the rest of your life. And that's why I'm sitting here doing what I'm doing today, because
Oh, Papa.
I'm following a dream.
There you go.
And it's really cool because I know we were talking about Jessica Jones and everything, but right away you bring up Arnold Schwarzenegger being your hero and everything, and you get to work with your hero. You
Not
got
just a hero, man.
uh,
Not just a hero. There's a whole. You want that full backstory about what Arnold means to me?
yeah, because I was into bodybuilding and strongman. I competed in strongman, even though I'm a tiny guy, but I
All right.
did
This
it
is,
at a
this is, this is going to get personal.
that's
Okay.
that's that's quite all right.
Grab your tissue boxes. So when I was a baby, 2 years old,
Hmm.
we were living in Massachusetts. Um, and my father was a bad guy, and nobody knew how bad he was. And he was into drugs and keeping it hidden from our family. And I had a younger brother and a younger sister, and they were twins. And one day my mom came home from work, and my younger sister was murdered. by my father. He went to jail for life. During the trial, his family ransacked our house and left us with nothing. So we moved back in with my grandparents, and we started life over again. But my grandfather was a traveling salesman, so he was never around. So I never really had a father figure. My grandfather had a collection of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. So from a very young age, I was watching True Lies, Predator, Conan, and as I was developing, my own personality, I knew that my dad was a bad guy, and I did not want to be what my father was. And Arnold was the hero. And I said, that's going to be me. When I grow up, I'm going to be the muscle bound hero that everybody loves, that saves everybody, that does good for the world. And that's always been in my head. And so I was impersonating. Yeah, it's fantastic. Get to the chopper, do it now. Even in elementary school, I started doing Arnold voice. And even the teachers were concerned because I would draw, muscle bound dudes with guns all the time. And they were like, we're concerned about Brett and his obsession with guns. And I was like, it's just Arnold. And so to manifest itself in 2015, to become Arnold, to be young Terminator, to be him on screen with a computer animated face, it meant I can't describe it, and it freaks me out to think about how the universe works like that. It's that whole law of attraction. Just if you know you're on the right track, if you know it's what you want, if you believe it, it'll happen. So Arnold to me, I don't know if Arnold knows how much he does mean to me. He pulled me through life, more than just bodybuilding, more than just acting. He pulled me through being a hero in real life. I had the option to become this depressed, drug addicted, violent person, and I knew that I wanted no part of that. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. Arnold is my savior in a way.
Wow. Yeah.
That's an exclusive here on Perched on Top Rope. Yes, Baba.
I don't even know where to begin, to be honest with you. On all of that, that's a lot to take in just a few minutes to hear.
I
Such
told
a
you, Baba. Grab your tissue box. It's okay to cry. Shiki love you. No problem.
I thank you for sharing such a personal story like that, and I had no idea that it just goes to show you that you never know somebody's personal life or struggle until they tell you, and that's a great example. And to know that Arnold meant so much, it changes like a whole perspective on things. And during Terminator Genisys, because that's where you play the young Terminator T-800, did you get to work with him?
Yeah. All right. So now we're going into good, positive stories.
Yeah.
So when filming Genisys, we had that huge fight scene. I was in several scenes, but the main scene was that big fight scene between older Arnold, younger Arnold.
Yep.
And so we recreate the beginning of the movie recreates T1, where he does the rise, the famous rise, the walk up to the three punks, launching the nothing clean right, your clothes given to me now. And then Arnold shows up from the future. You won't be needing those. And then I turn around and we have this huge, train on train fight, Terminator on Terminator. I spent 3 months over there with him, and Arnold was fantastic. Yeah, he was fantastic. The first day we met was in wardrobe, and he was like, "Look at this guy, he's all pumped up." And I was like, "What? What do you expect? I got to be you from the '80s, man. Like, of course I'm going to be pumped up." I was force feeding. I was about 20 pounds heavier than I am now, just trying to fill his shoes. But filming that scene, Arnold's naked. He walks up to the punks naked. He's supposed to get clothing in T100.
Mm-hmm.
When Arnold shows up and I turn around and fight, I never get the clothes. Hollywood, being so amazing at CGI and everything, didn't give me a secure, piece garment wardrobe piece.
Hmm.
My wardrobe was a sock and a drawstring, and nothing tied down. The sock was secure, but it was just swinging away. So that whole fight scene, it's me and Arnold and my free hanging self for the whole scene. So Arnold and I got really close really quick, and the eye contact we made during filming was very awkward. And I'll never be more embarrassed. I'll never be embarrassed in my life again. It's impossible after that. But so now when Arnold and I get together, and he's like, "Look at this guy. Who's this? I don't know him. He's wearing too much clothing. It's not Brett." And so that's the ongoing joke is you wearing too much clothing. I don't know who you are. So yeah,
We're gonna get a whole
I was,
big mix of different emotions today. We're
yeah,
going from crying to laughing.
I was always naked on set, bare butt with a sock. My filming days were called sock and dots day because I had the sock and the CGI. They put 100 dots on my face every day,
Hmm.
every morning in makeup. So it was sock and dots day every time I was filming.
Oh my God, that is wow. That's some new limelight into the film industry there. Could have almost been X-rated there for a second.
Filming it was pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you get to kind of relive the T-800 role coming back to Terminator in 2019 with Dark Fate. How was that compared to the first Terminator
Well,
film?
all right. So that was completely different, actually. We filmed that in Spain, which was cool to go to Spain. But I actually had clothing. When I showed up at wardrobe and they had a full like pants and shirt, I was like, I think you got the wrong guy. And they're like, no, this is what you're wearing. I was like, holy, I'm wearing clothes.
Yeah.
Um, and Arnold wasn't even part of that scene. What was really special about Dark Fate was I got to meet Linda Hamilton, and you know, she just her Terminator 2 doing the one arm pull ups in the prison cell in the loony bin.
Hmm.
That's like as soon as I think Linda Hamilton, that's the image that comes into my head. So I went up to her first time meeting her, and I was just like, pull ups, and she smiled, grabbed me, gave me this huge kiss on my lips, and I was like starstruck, like she goes, it's great to and from then on it was amazing. Um, and then filming that. So in that scene, can we do spoiler alerts here? I think it's past that time. So,
Yeah, you can absolutely.
so in that scene, Linda and John, or Sarah Connor and John, are on the beach. They think they saved the world, but in reality, the future sent back several Arnolds, and it was just the one that they actually that found them in Terminator 1 and 2. Um, so there was Arnold Terminators T-800 sent all over the world. So I was playing another one, a different one that looked exactly the same, but he walks up onto the beach and he kills John Connor right off the bat. And I was just like, oh my God, I get to be the one to pull the trigger on John Connor's face. Like I killed John after all these years of John Connor being indestructible and you can't kill the kid. I
Yeah.
get to do it. Like holy shit. It was like people are gonna hate my guts, but it's okay. But filming that, there was it's Maggie who was playing the young Sarah Connor. That whole fight scene, I mean, it wasn't much of a fight for me, but she jumps on my back, she tries to hit the gun, she goes frantic to try to save John. Linda was part of that fight choreography, and so when we were first starting out with it, like Maggie would run up and grab my arm and try to shake it, but T-800 doesn't move. And then I throw her and she does this flip through the air and lands on her face. But Linda was like, no, this is John. This is your son. You were gonna go crazy. You were gonna go just claw at his face, do everything you can. So she like clicked and she went straight into Sarah Connor mode. And so I'm doing the scene, I'm doing the rehearsal, I'm holding the gun up, and all of a sudden Linda jumps on my back, starts elbowing me in the face. I start bleeding out of my lip. And then we do the whole thing, and she's like, that's how you're supposed to do it. That's what Sarah would do. And then I look at her and she looks at me, she goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I got blood on my lip, and she beat the shit out of me, and she didn't even realize it. And I was like, Linda, they CGI my face. It's all good. Like it doesn't matter what my face looks like. So it was cool. That was a really special moment for me because Linda's so iconic in her own right.
That's really cool. And I was a huge fan of the Terminator series, and now I'm talking to the guy who killed John Connor.
Mhm.
Like, man.
I pulled the trigger. I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, that's really cool, and you get to have such iconic moments in that film series like that, which
No.
is really cool. And speaking of another iconic film series, another one that I grew up with, but it has a reboot, and you get to be part of that. 2016, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the
Oh,
Shadows.
I wasn't part of that. I was an extra.
It's all
I
right.
just I knew the guys who were on the crew. So I showed up and they were like, yeah, throw Brett into the background. So I did, like I walked by Will Arnett like in the office scene when they realized something's like blowing up. I got to hang around the set. It was just a special little moment. Like I didn't say who I was or anything or that I was actually an actor.
Yeah,
I just
no, but I mean, you got to play an NYPD officer in the
right.
film, and even though it's uncredited, you're still part of it. And
Yeah, yeah, and
uh,
that's special to me also because I could recite the entire 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first movie,
yeah,
the Jim Henson one.
yeah. I mean, I was a huge fan of the Turtles as a kid, and what getting to see these reboots and everything is just really cool. But speaking of another role like that was Central Intelligence,
Mhm.
where you play Agent Wally there. Uh,
Again, same exact situation.
yep.
Like I got brought in. Originally, they wanted me to be. So they gave me the name Agent Wally, and I was supposed to be a bigger character. But things got confused the day of filming, where that character was actually contracted out by the stunt coordinator.
Hmm.
So he wanted his stunt guy to be that character. So they pushed me out and just gave me like a one of those uncredited like spots again.
Yeah.
No big deal. But the best part about that was when I showed up, I walked in, I was standing on set, and The Rock's cousin, his primary stunt double, Tunaway,
Hmm.
walked up to me and goes, are you the other stunt double? I was like, yeah, sure. So he brought me over to The Rock and over to Kevin Hart, and they introduced me, and we were hanging out the whole time. And then finally they figured out like, oh, this is like I name dropped Terminator, so they accepted me in and was talking to me like I wasn't just an extra or anything. Um, and then they finally were like, wait a minute, you're Agent Wally, but you're not Agent Wally now. I was like, yeah, I know, I don't care. I'm just I was talking working out with Kevin Hart and with The Rock and Tunaway was a great guy. Tunaway and I kept in contact through the whole thing after that. Um, they're amazing people. They're truly like good guys. When you meet your heroes, you want them to be everything you expect. And The Rock is
Yeah.
that. Kevin Hart was that. Um, but filming that, so I ended up being like one of those agents who hold the gun to Kevin and The Rock's heads as he's running through the office and before jumping out the window.
Hmm.
And uh, mid scene or mid filming, director yells cut. They're going to reset to do the take again. DJ holds up his hand, and his assistant chucks this protein shake. He catches it, he chugs it, he throws back the empty bottle. I was like, that is that I just got all the new respect for The Rock and his filming career. That's if I can do that on set with my own movie, I've accomplished what I want. It was so badass to me to see him just put up his hand up, catch a protein shake, chug it, throw it back. All right, next scene, let's go.
That is awesome, and that sounds like quite an interesting story on the first way to meet The Rock and Kevin Hart and everything. That's really cool.
And
Um,
Kevin never stays on script. He improvs like there's always something new that he says.
yeah.
So when you're holding a gun to Kevin's head and you're looking like very serious and you're in character and he's improving and you never know what he's going to say, you are trying so hard not to laugh
Yeah.
because the guy is just so dynamically funny.
I can imagine because I watch both of them on when they're doing their little TikToks against each other, like little
Right.
videos and everything. Especially on that set when they were on set, they were doing a lot of that with
Yeah.
videos and
No,
everything.
and that was real life, man. They were like that. It was a true. It was a very enjoying day. But The Rock even showed how great he is as a human because he brought on. It was the middle of filming day, and a group of kids showed up, and he had. I don't know if they were Make a Wish kids or just like kids that were sick in some way, but he had these
Mhm.
kids. They're on set with him and showed him around, and it made their life basically to be on set with The Rock and while he's filming the movie, and the guy is a hero through and through.
Yeah, and he's another one that's told his story. $7 production because that's
Right.
what he had in his pocket that one day.
Right.
When he decided that he was going to become a professional wrestler and everything. And going back to The Rock, this is your first interaction with him, and now you're part of you're literally part of his life on film with Young Rock now. How have wrestling fans at these conventions and everything? Because I met you at WrestleFest 4. How have wrestling fans greeted you?
See, that's what's so special about this is I didn't ever imagine that that's the way that this would happen. I didn't, as an actor playing the Sheik, I never thought that I'd be accepted into the wrestling community the way that the fans have. I take the role as serious as my life, but you always have this thought that you're just an imposter, someone playing someone else. You're pretending to be someone else's hero.
Hmm.
But it I really am humbled. Very humbled, Papa, by the acceptance of the fans, the true fans of the Sheik, the true fans of wrestling that are saying, "Hey, I want a picture with you. I want your autograph," because it it, it validates my acting, but it also is beyond what I've ever expected, and it's truly something special. I guess it shows that I'm and also more than just the fans are absolutely amazing, but for the Sheik himself to tell me he's proud of me and to accept uh, to be happy about what I'm doing means the world to me. His family called his daughter Nicole called me up after episode 3 and she was like, "You're amazing. We love everything you're doing. We're so proud of you. We're so proud to have you as a part of this. Everything you're doing is right for the Sheik." um, that's where it really hits the heart. Where I'm like, damn, uh, this is more than an acting role. This is somebody's life and somebody who has so many fans and somebody who is loved universally right now. It's a blessing to be a part of that.
Yeah, and it helps. He a WWE Hall of Famer. It also puts his career back in the spotlight too. Again, going back to some of the other stuff that you've done, you've been part of Gotham, you've been part of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which is on Netflix, part of Jessica Jones, which was on Netflix, major motion television, movies, The Blacklist, which is on television.
That was
You're all over the place, from what seemingly is like the beginning of your career and to now. Did you ever think that walking in with an ex-girlfriend to a modeling agency that this is where everything would lead you?
I knew that my passion was acting, so I knew I was going to end up there eventually.
Hmm.
It's just that my mother, after what we went through, um, she instilled in us that power of the mind, that power of positive law of attraction kind of thing. So I've always been that way where if I want something and I know I can achieve it, I will. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter when, but I just know that it will. Um, and that's the excitement of life. But yeah, the way, I mean, it's a cool story to tell right now, the way it all happened. Going back to Blacklist, you mentioned that was a fun thing to shoot because meeting James Spader was a pretty cool event. I respect him as an actor, and in the scene that we shot, he walks up to me and I'm a guard, not letting him through the door, and he has all these lines about muscle bound jokes, and I'm not really supposed to say anything in reaction to him. And it's like, is it true that what they say about having a thick neck means having a small brain and stuff like that? And there was one line where he says, you know, is it true that steroids shrink your dick? And I'm just supposed to stare at him, mean face, and not give him any gratification. But the first time we do it, I had to say something, and I just went, "You want to check?" And he cracked up because he didn't expect me to say anything. And from then on, he kind of like he brought me in a little bit into his like circle, and he and I started joking around all day. So that was really cool, just to shoot the shit with James Spader, talking about his role on Seinfeld when he was like Spanky Hanky or whatever that was, where he was behind the
Hmm.
counter at the deli store or whatever. Um, but yeah, he was great to work with, and he runs the show basically. So if he was like, all right, we can't use that. That's not in the script. Do it again. But that was freaking funny. So that was a cool moment that I had with James Spader.
That's awesome and great show. I've been watching watching since season one. Uh, Another show that you can also catch that on Netflix as well as as the season ends, they put the next season on Netflix.
Yeah.
Phenomenal show, and uh, again, it's one of those had no idea until you see you, because I've only seen you without hair, and then when I see you with hair, I'm whole different look. Which is
Yeah,
really cool.
I've gone through such different phases hair wise. I mean, I had long hair down to my shoulders, and I filmed a commercial with Ryan Reynolds where I was his stunt double, and the director walks in. We're both wearing the same shirt, and I'm like busting out of mine,
Hmm.
and I got a full beard and long hair and look nothing like Ryan. And the director's like, "Yeah, Ryan, I'm gonna need to use you for this scene because your stunt double here looks nothing like you." And Ryan's like, "Sergey does all my stunts. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see what the problem is." And then I say, "I don't see what the problem is." And Ryan's like, "Yeah, and he sounds just like me too. Like it's perfect." But that commercial, people started recognizing me for at the time because I looked like that. And now going back and forth, they're like, "Wait, you're that same guy that was the Ryan Reynolds guy? Like we watched that commercial. That was on like every day." So it was cool.
That's really awesome. And uh you earlier you had brought up, being involved with fitness. I know you had done bodybuilding and everything. And
Look at me, camera.
uh
Look at me, zoom it, camera.
I mean, yeah, just look at the traps and the separation with the triangle with the chest and the neck. And
Here's Baba. Persian club, Baba. Persian club.
yeah, and uh how important for all these roles, knowing what you're supposed to do, how important was it for you to focus on the working out aspect too?
Well, the working out aspect is more of a psychosis,
Hmm.
um, because of the bodybuilding background. If I don't work out during the week, I don't feel like myself.
Hmm.
So it only getting the roles that fit the body only validate the psychosis of having to work out every day. So it
Okay.
really goes hand in hand. It's
Yeah.
I don't change my training at all based on what roles I'm trying to achieve. I always have to go kill myself in the gym. That's a staple. That's every day. That
And
plus off days, but that's basically every day.
yeah, and speaking of that, you have some promo codes when it comes to food and things like that. If you want to, let fans know
Yeah,
Just
part of keeping the body is keeping the diet right. And Icon Meals is a huge help for that. I don't cook. I microwave everything. So to have delicious food that's healthy that you can microwave, I order from them. I mean, you can get full meals. I just order them my proteins by the pound from them, and I get 30 pounds a month. So I get 30 meals, basically 2 meals a day out of that because I'll eat half a pound at every meal. Um, but I get salmon, I get steak, I get ground bison. If you want, check them out. Icon Meals on their Instagram. Use my code Azar10. Save you money. No problem. Yes, Baba. Sheik only family man. Once you save money.
that's awesome. And uh, meal prepping is huge when it comes to that sort of aspect in life.
Right.
And even if you're just looking to diet and eat healthy, it's a great place to check out. So fans, make sure you check that out, and make sure you use his promo code to save that money, as he said. Um, One thing that you brought up as you're doing these tours of meet and greets and everything, you're going to a wrestling show, and in our first interview, you said that uh, you would like to wrestle if that opportunity ever came about. And
I would not turn it down. I would not turn it down. That would be very
and
cool.
with sportskita.com, that portion was picked up and talked about. When it comes to that, what was the training like for wrestling?
What was great about it is we didn't have stunt doubles. All the actors did all their own wrestling, and that's how I wanted it to be. So I was very grateful for that. I didn't want a stunt double. I wanted to do it all and really complete the character of the Iron Sheik. And so the show brought in Chavo Guerrero, and he was our wrestling coach, wrestling 101 through and through. And he put us to the test. Day one, he had us bouncing off the ropes, you know, something so simple. You think the easy stuff, like you don't even think how hard the easy stuff is. Bouncing off the ropes. If you come off the ropes wrong, if you hit your back on that rope in the wrong way, you're walking around with a bruise for a week. If you take a fall wrong, if you can't somersault out of a fall, you're straining your neck and then you can't stand up straight. Um, Chavo was amazing in breaking down everything from baby steps to getting us thrown out of the top rope, jumping off the top rope. That guy's a legend in himself. I remember when I met him, I was like, "Wait, you're the Chavo?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I hate your effing guts." He was like the ultimate heel in the '90s to me. Like I just hate. Like he was one of those like, "Ugh, I want you to get destroyed. Please get beat. Just die." And so when I met him and I told him that, he goes, "Thank you," because it's his job to be the heel, so he's doing his job right when somebody hates him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chavo has done this before, as he was part of Glow also,
Right.
helped doing training and everything like
And yeah, and part of Glow, those girls had most of them had zero athletic ability, and he made them look, legitimate on camera. And he won a SAG award for that for their stunt team, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And one of the first things, when it came to the show, is we see you with Macho Man in the camel clutch,
right.
and did you watch, when it came to preparation for all of that, were you watching matches also besides the promos?
Of course, of course. I mean, I watched him and Bob Backlund's match like 20 times.
Yeah.
Um, the Sheik versus Hulk Hogan, the Sheik versus Bob Backlund, the Sheik versus Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, I watched them all. I told you for 2 straight months, I did nothing but watch his YouTube promos, wrestling, documentaries, all his mannerisms. When he's in the ring, he's always got his shoulders up and his fingers extended. Like even that look. Now I have a 6 pack. Sheik didn't, during the older days, didn't have a crazy 6 pack, but he also he wouldn't tighten his abs. He'd always let them loose. So when I was filming wrestling, I'd always let it loose, just
Yeah.
just to make sure I looked right. And But yeah, like when he gets excited, his fingers start going, and he's got his neck up, like he's got his shoulders up, ready to attack at all times. And it's the mannerisms that I picked up on. I absolutely loved. And then when he's getting worked over by the crowd, he gets excited. I get excited. Tyranny, number one, Iron Sheik, number one. No respect, you jabroni. Like it. I loved it all, man.
That is incredible. And Finns, you can check out Young Rock Tuesdays, NBC, 8 p.m. There's a reason why it debuted at number one. It's an awesome show. We have Brett Azar, who plays the Iron Sheik and portrays him almost like yours. You look at the look. I mean, like a twin to him from that era. And you even posted a side by side shot on your Instagram. You
Of the
had
camel clutch.
yes,
And of the wardrobe, yeah.
yes, and
I
oh
sent
my,
I sent those to the Sheik, and he was like, "What is this?" Like, is that? And it was pretty damn cool. Yeah, his daughter was like, "You got his nose, like you got the nose, like that's an important part." I was like, "Yeah, but I don't have the chin, the little dimple. I
yeah,
just need the dimple." But yeah, she was like, it was just so cool to see how proud they were of how I represented Sheik.
that is awesome. And when it comes to the Sheik, and I, you're doing all these, wrestling meet and greets, and you're going to a wrestling show that you're going to be part of. uh Nothing's been set in stone, or as far as I know been talked about, when everything opens back up, and people can, attend more meet and greets. Would you tour with the Iron Sheik himself, and do meet and greets and everything like that?
As long as he's up for it, I'm up for it. That would be truly special. Like who would ever turn that down?
Yeah, yeah. That and that was just something I thought about, because we're sitting here, we're talking about you portraying the Iron Sheik. We've talked about how you've been on the phone with him and this and that. I think that would be something special to have Brett Azar with the Iron Sheik himself, doing meet and greets, or
Yeah,
uh,
that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal to get going right now.
or
Absolutely, 100 from the A to the Z, Baba. Yes, a
or
hundred.
or even if you started getting into wrestling, and the Sheik, would you have him be a manager for you or anything, to come down to the ring with you and stuff like that?
As long as he's willing, 100%.
Okay, cool. Ab- I find that I think it'd be really cool to see, and one last question that I had was, with you wanting to get into the wrestling aspect of the business, since you're portraying the Iron Sheik and everything, is there anybody currently in WWE that you could see yourself facing in the ring?
Well, all right. So I got three ideal situations.
Okay.
One is because Roman Reigns is the current champion. I would love to do that, and I'm a fan of Roman Reigns. He's a very cool guy. He's related to The Rock as well. But I think, if I want to do this and get the most publicity out of it, you want to take on the guy on top. So he's on top right now. So that'd be pretty special. Second option, rematch Hulk Hogan Sheiky. Third option, The Rock himself.
All three great answers. All three great answers. You can't complain about any one of those. That would be really, really cool to see, because everybody has been talking, and for years people have speculated Hulk Hogan, one more match, one more match. That
Yeah,
could be the one more match.
yep. I would totally be on for that. And The Rock versus the Sheik, battle of the jabroni.
That would be a great match. That, and you'd have to call it that, the Battle of the Jabroni.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
And then as you said with Roman Reigns, that's a again, another perfect scenario because he's the man on top right now. Brett, is there any last words that you have for the fans today, or anything that you want them to know? Any other social media you want to plug? Anything that you want to plug and say to the fans? By all means.
As far as the shameless plug, uh, get my T-shirt. DM me on my Instagram, Brett Azar. But other than that, just positive messages, man. Do what you love and fuck the rest. I'll just say that. No, I'll say it in Sheik. Yes, Baba. You do what you love, you fuck the rest. If not, you suplex, you put in camel clutch, you break its back.
Brett, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. Uh, you've really let in some eye-opening things that I had no idea, never knew about, and some things I don't think many fans knew about in general. And I want to thank you for opening up and sharing the personal stories that you've shared today. And I wish you nothing but success. I look forward to seeing you down the road. Young Rock, Tuesdays, NBC, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget that you can order a shirt directly from Brett Azar. Don't forget to go to Icon Meals, use his promo code AZAR10. Brett, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Baba. First on top rope, #1.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching that video. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you can get all our content here at Perched on the Top Rope. And fans, remember, spoiler free's the way to be. I'm out.